Well, let's get started. So, this is the very first episode of the shit show that I am actually going to not only record video, but also record a podcast. So, welcome to the shit show. Today's episode is simply titled April Showers of Responsibility. The weather here in Chicago has been completely bipolar. From rainy weather to super cold to, okay, we might be breaking out of the frost. This is the first time I've ever lived in Chicago. So, I mean, for those of y'all that have been around and been with this entire situation, y'all know that, okay, this is something new. So, I was here at the beginning of March, and that particular weather was alright. But it wasn't necessarily something that was super springish. It was still a little chilly. It was still Georgia winter for me. So it just, watching the trees come back to life and watching the flowers bloom and obviously sitting over here taking a peek at the tulips and the tulip festivals that Chicago has to offer and stuff like that, was watching spring try to come about. Was super interesting for me. So, okay. So, like I said, watching spring come about here in the north was different for sure. Now, excuse you, stop it. Today's topic is all about work. But not the Rihanna kind of work. We are going to be sitting over here discussing my increased focus on work for the month of April. We're going to also talk about some challenges that I had to sit over here and kind of go through. And then obviously the general atmosphere of my work in general. So for those of y'all that know that I work for AT&T. I work in the business department. I'm not giving specifics. I'll just give generics. So I work for the business department of AT&T. Learning a whole new role while still learning a whole new city is challenging. It's very difficult at times, and probably more so than not, if I'm being honest, because for those of y'all that have listened to the entire podcast thus far, know that I moved up here with no one. Literally just Jericho. That's it. That's all we got. All of my family is still in the city of Atlanta and in Georgia and stuff like that. And I'm just here by myself. So learning a whole new city while still learning a whole new job in and of itself is extremely difficult. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had to try to overcome is, okay, how do I balance learning the city and taking part of certain aspects of it, while still trying to navigate this entirely new role inside of my workplace. That's probably been the biggest challenge that I've had to try to overcome, and I'm still not there yet. I had couple different epiphanies in the month of April. One of them being that you can't live life backwards. Have you ever tried walking down the sidewalk backwards and not hit anything? It's difficult at best. I mean, there's people that do it. I can do it. But that's not the point of life. The point of life is to walk forward through it so that you can see and take advantage of absolutely everything that life has to offer. And my biggest issue that I've had thus far is the fact that I have tried time and time and time and time again to fall back into the level of comfortability and complacentness and not staying outside of my comfort zone. So being able to fall back into somebody that was comfortable or consistent or just whatever. And I finally had to sit over here the other day or the other week and was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore because I'm not going to keep living my life in the past because it's not going to do me any good. I want to live life forward. I moved up here to move forward with my life. I didn't move up here to fall back into old habits. So one of my exes, I'm not saying names, or anything remotely close to them, but one of my exes, I basically looked at and was like, you know what? You are my past. And I'm not going to continue to live my life in the past because it's not going to do me any good. So with that being said, there's a reason that the rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield and I can't keep looking backwards, hoping and praying that things are going to change and we'll fall back into certain situations and whatnots. And I'm not going to do that anymore because I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to constantly let myself down and I'm going to be disappointed. So I quit talking to them. Being able to realize that that was a problem and rectifying the situation was probably one of the biggest eye openers that I had. Also, for those of y'all that actually know me, know that I don't really go to church. I go whenever I have a calling to go. I went to church the other day, and I'm very much that type of person that whenever I enter a new space or a new atmosphere or environment, I'm very standoffish. And I am definitely going to be that person that sits in the back of the room and I observe everybody. And that's exactly what I did in this church. Granted, the church was gorgeous. It was beautiful. The sermon was exactly what I needed to hear. Because I feel as though that particular sermon was written specifically for me. Because all I did was sit there in the back of the pews and just bawl my eyes out. Because, again, life isn't perfect. And there's some things that you have to do in life to let go of certain situations, and letting go of what happened in Asheville 3 years ago was probably one of the hardest things that I ever had to do, because I actually did love Matthew. I gave Matthew more of me than I gave myself. But learning how to love myself again and being comfortable with me and being comfortable and preferring to sit in my home by myself, or to take myself out to dinner, or to take myself out to lunch, or to go buy myself something nice and just take care of me is something that I've had to completely relearn how to do because I gave up on that portion of me a long time ago. I gave up on taking care of me years ago. Um, so, yeah. Mm. So, work has definitely been challenging for sure, but I've done a lot of growing and a lot of sitting with myself. Um, Most people will sit over here and call it shadow work. I don't necessarily call it shadow work. I call it looking within, and recognizing that you have problems and that you need to fix your problems. Because there's nobody in this world that's going to do it quite like you. Sorry. You can hire a therapist. You can sit over here and hire somebody to talk it out, and they can give you the tools to help guide you through the process. And yes, there's a million self-help books out there, and I am not knocking any of that. But I know it works for me. And that's the difference. You have to know what works for you. So, whew, that was a lot. So let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. Um, my employee group at work is very inclusive. And I was given the opportunity to sit over here and be a part of the creation of certain campaigns as far as fundraising was concerned. Because I enjoy it so much, I have actually taken it completely over as the fundraising director. So being able to share this with y'all is probably the best thing that I could ever come up with. Um, what is an employee group? Because I get this question a lot. What is an employee group? What's an EG? Have you ever went to your internal company's site and just looked for a place to belong? Ever just kind of searched through their social media sites and been like, you know what? I feel as though I relate more with this group of people inside of my place of business than I do with this one. That's an employee group. An employee group is somewhere where you can go inside of your job and be yourself. We've got women at work, women in tech, vets at work, vets in tech, LGBTQ in tech. Like we've got hundreds of employee groups out there, and they're all inside of your existing place of business. Because a lot of people will sit over here and be like, you know what, my job don't care about me. They do. They might. Let me rephrase that, because some of these places don't care about you. But they might. And whether you work for AT&T or Apple or Verizon or T-Mobile or wherever it is that you may work, look into see if you've got an employee group at your place of business, because you'd be surprised. And if you don't, guess what? You can create it. It's not that hard. So, my particular employee group is LGBTQ centered, obviously, because I am super involved with creating an inclusive and safe space for queer individuals or allies of and advocates of, because I've always experienced love and support and acceptance and all of this, and there's a lot of people out there that have not. There is a lot of people out there that have experienced the exact opposite. There's been people that There's been kids that have been kicked out of their homes because of them coming out. And by me being a part of and being involved with, I can help include and share my experiences by displaying the same actions that I've received. So if I can sit over here and I can say, hey, you are beautiful just the way that you are. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't care what they say to you. I don't care what they say to me. Because at the end of the day, you are a person. You deserve respect. Whether you've earned it or not, that's a completely different story. Because that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But hating somebody because of who they love is not humanity. It's not love. It's not acceptance. It's not inclusivity. And it's not the way that we're... It's not human nature. Let's just be honest. And that's my opinion. I don't care if anybody else agrees with it or disagrees with it or whatever. That's my opinion, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to sit over here and start a shit show, even though we're on the shit show. But whatever. So that was my... That was my main reasonings for joining. Was because I wanted to sit over here and be able to share and show and love and support those coming into and just be me. By taking over as the fundraising director, I get to sit over here and have more of a voice as far as, okay, I would prefer, based off of everybody else's input, if we decided to do this fundraiser versus this one. This one is going to include the community and do this and do that and do this and do that and whatever, versus this one that's just going to do this little small thing right over here. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. So... we had a low-key April. And more of the lack thereof adventures. Because April was not a big month for me to explore. I really didn't do much. And that's perfectly okay. I honestly enjoyed going and taking photos at Jackson Park of the cherry blossoms, and I enjoyed being able to get out and explore my community inside of Chicago, because there's a lot of places that I didn't even know existed here in Hyde. And it's okay, because taking a minute and taking a breather for you is important, because nobody's going to sit over here and take care of you like you. They're just not. Now, I am definitely looking forward to May, because in May is definitely action-packed. Thrill rides. We've got something to do every single week, and then we're out of work the entire last week of May because we're on our way back to Atlanta. So, yeah. We've got the aquarium coming up. We've got the Museum of Contemporary Art. We've got the planetarium. And I'm going to try to be better at recording. I'm trying really hard. So, if you want to find out what happens, then obviously stay tuned. So, I want to sit over here and thank everybody for joining this particular podcast. This is something that I decided to try a little different. The video for this podcast is only available on Spotify. Sorry, guys. And it may honestly pop up on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see how... I'm still learning this whole situation, honestly. You guys can definitely find the shit show on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast, as well as you can definitely follow my socials, which is super difficult to find. And I will be sure to link all of that inside of the show's description. So my socials are very simple, very they're all the same. It's just once you type it in once, you kind of have it for the rest of all of them. Anyway, I am going to hop off of here because I have turned my air conditioner off in my house and now I'm hot. So that was today's episode. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That way you can always find out whenever I drop a new episode. I have gotten horrible at this schedule and I am so sorry. I'm trying to get better, but I'm also in school full time and I have a lot going on. So once a month is kind of what we got going on right now. And it's just whenever I have time to record. So do not hate me. Do not kick me. Do not cuss me out in the comments. Just be nice and understanding. And I will see you all on the very next one. So bye for now. Okay, bye.